Okay, we're back in Lightroom, and now we're going to talk a little bit about file management. So we've briefly discussed that a catalog is just this collection of all of these images that we tell it to keep track of. But now we want to do a little housekeeping and clean it up. We imported our first 20 last week. We imported our next 20 this week, and we put those into individual folders. We also, in the last demo, looked at how to show the parent folder so that we could see the folder that those folders are inside of. And now what I want to do is take these files, these images, these image files, out of those folders and put them into the assignment 1 folder without being subdivided. So if I hit this yellow button up here at the top of Lightroom, it'll minimize it, which means it'll put it down on the dock and get it out of my view so that I can come up here into the computer and see what's going on. I'm going to go into my column view, and I'm going to say, I'm going to take these next 20 that I just imported today, and I'm going to select them. And I just clicked and dragged all the way down to the bottom. I could have done, I'm going to go back in. I could have done Command A to select them all. And you can see that my 23 files have become 46 because I have my XMP files next to it. Remember the preference setting that we checked that said to save all changes as an XMP file. There's that XMP file. Every one of them has it because I've added copyright and keywords to it. And so it's buddied up with it. It's a sidecar file that's there. So I'm going to select them all, and I'm just going to move them into this assignment 1 folder right here into this column. So there, it just copied them all out of the next 20 folder, and it put them in the assignment 1 folder. So let's go back into Lightroom and see how we've cleaned up our images. So now I look at assignment 1, and I can see my first 20, and then here's my second 20 or my next 20 that come up here. But you can see that they all have this little exclamation point in the upper right-hand corner. So if I click on that exclamation point, you can see that it says Lightroom can't find the file and would I like to locate it. So because I went outside of Lightroom and moved my image files, Lightroom couldn't keep track of them. It's not watching everything that I do on my computer. It only sees what I do in the catalog. So when I went outside of the catalog and moved those images, Lightroom lost them. It just doesn't know where they are. So it wants me to go locate file number 4031, and I'm going to say locate, and I know I put it in assignment 1, and so I'm going to go find it in assignment 1. There it is, 4031, and I'm going to say select, and you can see that the exclamation points just disappeared from all of the images that Lightroom was missing. In other words, once I showed it where one of them was, it could see that folder and that all the other images were in that folder. And so it cleared up all of the problems that I was having with my images. So that exclamation point will come up if the original file is missing. You might have wondered why I could still see my images in the catalog, and that's because the previews had been created by Lightroom, so I could see a preview of the file, but it didn't know where the original was, so I couldn't make any changes to that file. So the next question you might be asking is, how do I move images from one folder to another? So we have our first 20, and we want to put them into the assignment 1 folder as well. So I'm going to click on the first image, hold down Shift and click on the last, and then I'm going to move them to the assignment 1 folder. In order to move them, you need to click in the image, not the gray border. If I click on the gray border and hold, it will just select the one image and let me make modifications to it. I'm going to hit Command A to select them all again. And if I click somewhere inside of the image itself and drag, you can see I end up with a big pile of photos that I'm moving, and I can drag those right down to assignment 1 folder and drop them. And Lightroom's going to give me this dialog box. Lightroom's really good at telling you when it's going to do something that's changing something outside of Lightroom. And so it's telling me that it's moving the files on my flash drive or on my disk. And it's going to say that the corresponding files will be moved. And if I proceed, it can't be undone. It's fine. I know that I want to move these. And so I'm going to say move, and it now has put them all into the assignment 1 folder. I'm going to minimize Lightroom again and show you out here that we have all of our images and XMP files in the assignment 1, and first 20 and next 20 are both empty now. And when we go back into Lightroom, that's reflected here. Assignment 1 folder has 43 images. First 20 has 0. Next 20 has 0. So now we're going to do a little bit of housekeeping and get rid of these extra folders. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say remove. And it's going to remove it from Lightroom. I'm going to right click and say remove. Now I just have my assignment 1 folder. I'm going to minimize Lightroom again and show you out here. It removed them from Lightroom and from the disk. So those folders are now gone. Those folders don't exist at all anymore. So now I'm going to give you one other thing that we can do with file management, and that is we can create folders and then move the images. So let's say that I wanted my first 20 to still be in that folder. I could click on this plus button and I can say add subfolder. And so I'm going to create a new folder within this, and I'm going to call it first 20. And I'm not going to include selected photos because I only have, well, yeah, let's include it because I have one of my first 20 selected. So I'm going to say include selected photos, and I'm going to create. And you can see that it created the first 20 down there, and it has one photo in it, that one photo that I had already moved. So I'm going to move the others into there. And I'm going to select the second one and then shift click on the last one. And I'm going to move them to first 20. There's that dialog again, that warning that says it's moving them on the drive. And I say, okay, my assignment 1 still has 43. And now my first 20 has my 20 images in it. I'm going to minimize Lightroom one more time. And I'm going to show you that it created that folder and it moved those 20 images in. This kind of gives you an idea of how we can move things around in Lightroom and create what we need to create as far as file management goes.